Welcome to another edition of the Sports One. And we are back. We got the full crew in the house. That is what it's all about. The Yankees, out of any team in the league, are the best equipped to handle a blow like this.
I think there is a higher power at play here. He's due law of averages. That dude is the ultimate scrub. It's trash. Yeah. Every person you have in there is fucking trash.
Next game, you're going to see a big performance. You can see it in the end of the game, and I'm just totally stoked and excited for this.
And we are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Pour here on a Tuesday. Host the college football national championship game. I know Tony was dialed all night and is excited to talk about that. Ohio State reigning supreme once again.
How about that, dude?
First championship in 11 years, winning this game over Notre Dame 34-23. And I felt like a really dominant performance, watching the whole thing start to finish. And like I did for the quarterfinal games, I was over at the Mohegan Sun Sportsbook, the huge screen. The hockey was on as well.
There we go, dude.
Great time, honestly. Great time. Really thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm excited to talk about it.
Dude.
Did you go through and through, or just bits and pieces? Like, where were you with the game?
I guess you could say bits and pieces. Maybe more like first half, I guess. It was pretty remarkable because I was meal prepping, so I had it on my phone in the kitchen, and I was watching on ESPN Plus, so I had the Notre Dame feed actually.
Okay,
so it was
Lou
like,
Holtz?
Is that who it was?
Like
I don't
the
know.
old guy, like really
no,
old?
No.
Okay.
It was some young dude was doing play-by-play, and then some. I forget his name.
Trevor Maddich, the big guy, or no?
No, it was some guy who played football, won the Super Bowl. The guy kept saying it. I'm here with Super Bowl winner Randall
Cunningham. No.
I forget. I would have to look it up, dude.
I'm trying to think. Was he a quarterback?
No way. He didn't say, honestly. Probably at the top of the show they did. Who did the Notre Dame
alternate broadcast or whatever
for national champion?
I feel like Tommy was watching that one. Maybe.
Fowler and
that's
that was the name one. Yeah, I thought. Come on, really? Dan Hicks, Paul Burmeister, Noah Eagle.
No,
Jason
that's NBC.
What the hell, dude? Let's see if NCAA will say who it is. First round, campus, college football playoffs. Oh no, this is no good. Yeah, I don't know, man. I guess there's really no way. I guess maybe we could watch it back. But in any case, dude, it was a pretty good broadcast. But, I mean, watching that opening drive by Notre Dame was, like, fucking outrageous. And then on top of that, having the Notre Dame broadcast on, they were going crazy, the announcers, dude. I mean, that entire drive took up, like, I don't know, like almost the entire first quarter.
Well, and it's crazy because, watching the game and being on the Ohio State side, I was like, wow, like, they might be in trouble.
I know,
like
dude.
Leonard's going crazy, but they mentioned on the broadcast, you mentioned the long drive. And I know late in the game, he had a little run, those 2 touchdowns in the second half. But I think that took a ton out of him. He was fortunate, though, even though they didn't score the rest of the first half. I think they said, even though it was only a few minutes or 5-6 minutes, whatever it was, of game time, he got 22 minutes of rest. And I think he carried the ball, I want to say 13 times or something, or 12 times on the opening drive, which is nuts.
Yeah,
so you're like, oh, he's going to run for 200 yards? Like, and it's like, also it was like, how is Ohio State not stopping the run? And I was with Mark. He's a big, Buckeyes fan. He said, for whatever reason, their strategy is to come out in a base defense, and then as the game goes on, adjustments, dialing it up. So that's what that happened. But I thought it was going to be a completely different game, and we'll get to the summary. But I have to say, too, especially in the second half, I was surprised how well Riley Leonard threw the ball. I don't know if that was more they were kind of just sitting back, with a lead. That certainly might have been the case. But after that fumble there in the second half, I mean, Notre Dame had a shot, had life, the 2-point conversion, but then that stupid field goal that they kicked kind of ruined everything. But I was surprised, and it was crazy too. how the running game was just completely taken away after that first drive. They only ran for 53 yards the whole game, and I mentioned Leonard, the 12 carries in the first drive, only had 17 the whole game for 40 yards. So that aspect was completely taken away. And Ohio State was going on some long drives, and all the skill guys they have. I mean, really a juggernaut offense, Tony.
For Ohio State.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like they had, a lot of different guys downfield that they could hit, even just, running the ball. I mean, it seems like whether it was Howard or Judkins over there, they ran the ball really well, which is kind of interesting. I mean, I feel like, watching this game, and especially after talking about it yesterday at the show, I was, surprised to see how many times Leonard was dropping back.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
and the guys were open, and it almost reminded me of the coverage that I was talking about in the NFL playoffs this past weekend, where guys are just
letting
open.
them, like in the middle of the field, too. Like, so it was kind of interesting, but I guess, like you said, Ohio State, that's their strategy or whatever. I guess it kind of worked out. Obviously, they won, so it did. But I guess, Notre Dame put up a better fight than I thought,
Yeah. I think the thing, if you really think about it, what it comes down to, and sure, Ohio State passed the ball. Well, Will Howard, almost flawless. I think at one point he was 13-14, ended up finishing 17-21, 231 yards, 2 touchdowns. But the running, Tony, was the difference in this game, because Ohio State ran for 214 yards on the ground, had 3 guys with at least 11 carries. And then Notre Dame, like I said, only ran for 53 yards as a team. So you combat the fact that they couldn't run the ball and they couldn't stop the run. Hard to win many games that way.
Yeah, you can't be doing that, dude. At the end of the day, though, are you stoked for Ohio State? You think maybe Notre Dame, like, at this point, you think they can have another season like this next year?
Tommy, I would imagine, because I know he's an Irish fan, would be on top of this. I haven't looked at what's coming in next year, but Leonard's a senior, so it's really, college football, sure, like the guy, it's debatable how well the quarterback plays, but you're gonna have to probably have somebody, I would say, better than Leonard, and I know. He threw the ball better, but I would say that would be my recommendation to Notre Dame. They're going to lose, I think, a big safety in the draft, and Julian Love will be back, or Jeremiah Love, who I guess is banged up. He only had 4 carries last night, which was crazy. I think you want a pocket passer, and then you're going to have to retool that defense. And if you're able to do that, sure. With Marcus Freeman getting the best out of these guys. But the talent gap, even with the best Notre Dame team, we've seen in over a decade, I think it was very evident watching this game last night.
Yeah, no, I think so too. And I think that was the narrative going into the game. And like you said, it was kind of a chalk game from that. But still, it was, interesting to watch, I guess. It still was a game. Even for someone who doesn't really follow college football that much, I guess it was entertaining.
And the fact that late, like I said, it got kind of tight. But, I think just the fact that Ohio State, Notre Dame has, a couple skill guys that are pretty good, but it's Ohio State. It's like you got 2 running backs who ran for almost 1,000 yards. The backup, technically, Judkins, had 2 touchdowns running, 1 touchdown receiving, over 120 yards from scrimmage. And then Will Howard, you're not thinking of him as a runner, but he ran very effectively, very smartly. Almost reminded me of what Russell Wilson used to do with the Seahawks, especially playoffs, early years, where he's not looking to run, but he's taking that smart run if it's there. In the middle of the field for Howard, a bunch of times, he had 16 carries, was wide open.
I was going to say, watching him a couple of times, I was thinking, wow, this guy kind of looks like Jaden Daniels even.
Yeah,
Like you said, noticing, not much really going on here. Let me just kind of take off, I guess, and getting those yards in. And I think it was even on that first or second drive where you were still, by Ohio State, where you were still kind of like, oh man, Notre Dame, if they lean on the pedal here, it could get into, unfamiliar territory for the Buckeyes. But I think there was a 3rd and 12, and he took off, got a first down, and then some.
Yeah.
And I'm all right.
Absolutely. So you speak of the running, and then on the, receiving end, Jeremiah Smith, after having a very quiet semifinal game, had a touchdown catch and led them with 88 yards receiving on 5 catches. and Egbuka had 6 for 64 as well. Carnell Tate was very close to having a touchdown of his own. Howard this game didn't make many mistakes, but in that second half, he did miss him wide open on what would have been, I think, like a 35, 40-yard touchdown. So that was a missed opportunity there. Didn't come back to bite. And just really looking at this game, in its entirety. We mentioned the opening drive for, the Irish. Very impressive. 18-play drive. That's a long drive. Taking almost 10 minutes off the clock.
Ridiculous.
2/3 of the first quarter.
Ohio State didn't even complete their first drive. It was the end of the first quarter.
Exactly. And Ohio State, they went 11 plays, 75 yards. So same amount of yards, but took a little over 3.5 minutes less off the clock. They make a couple stops, and then they get 2 more touchdowns. Judkins, a run, and then a passing touchdown at the end of the half, which felt like, wow, with Ohio State deferring, getting the ball second half, this is going to get ugly quick. And it felt like we were headed there because, third quarter, they, right away score 5 plays, 75 yards, 28-7. You're like, game over. But they even added a field goal, 31-7. But what happened was after, Notre Dame gets the ball back, Greathouse, who actually looked, he had a nice game for Notre Dame, had a 34-yard touchdown pass. They get the 2-point conversion. So all of a sudden, okay, 2-possession game, Ohio State had a chance to really put it away. Now there's a little life. And then Ohio State has the fumble. And then Notre Dame does get another touchdown. They get the 2-point conversion, 8-point game. But then, the biggest key was before Ohio State kicked that field goal to make it an 11-point game. Notre Dame, it just didn't make any sense. I mean, I want to see what yard line it was, but they're down 13 and they kick a field goal. Or 15 and kick. It was. I just want to actually see what the actual. So it was
missed field goal,
and it was a short field goal. It was a 27-yard field goal. I mean, they were at the 9-yard line. But at that point, you're down 16. So it's like, okay, so you just want to take away the fact that you had to hit 2-point conversions to tie, but you're still gonna have to score two touchdowns. The clock is winding. Marcus Freeman, who's really pushed all the right buttons this year, I felt like that was a bad decision. And ultimately, I don't think they would have won anyway, but that's not the right call there.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like you said, it was kind of odd to me, given the fact that, like you said, he was making right decisions all season long. I mean, again, that first drive, he converted to 2 fourth downs, Yeah. So not only was he making the right decisions, he was making the right play calls as well. So you thought for a scenario like that where he wasn't in the 9-yard line, he probably had a play in his back pocket, right? You would imagine. So it is kind of weird that he decided not to do that. But I mean, what are you gonna do? I guess, right? Why? I mean, why would you? Why would he? Like you said, like take away the 2-point conversions, but you still need to score twice. What's the point? I mean, what is the justification there?
Yeah, I mean,
there is none.
Yeah, there really isn't. And I know Jeter made a big kick to get to this point,
no relation?
But he had struggled, earlier in the season. So he misses it, and that was definitely the game at that point, just completely deflating. But I think to really, to sum up the season, obviously. The resilience of Ohio State, I think you have to laud them, bouncing back from not only the Oregon loss earlier in the season, to get their vengeance in the playoffs eventually, but also to bounce back from that Michigan loss. That Michigan loss, I mean, people were seriously talking about the fact that Ryan Day might be fired, which is, you look at his winning percentage, 800. I mean, it's like absolutely impeccable. And that was a serious conversation. They go to the college football playoff. They pretty much blow everybody out. And I know this game wasn't a blowout, but I mean, I don't think anybody's going to argue. I mean, they had complete control the whole time. So, I mean, that's a job well done.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really knock that. It is kind of crazy, like you said, that the head coaching job in question. And I mean, he just turns around and proves everyone wrong. So you gotta love that story.
I mean, I guess you would say that's why we love sports, right?
Yeah, exactly, dude.
And then also on Notre Dame's side, while it is a sour taste, definitely losing this game. I think, I mean, what a coaching job Freeman's done the last couple of years, because, even with nil, it's just always going to be tougher to recruit at Notre Dame because of the high academic standards. So to get to this point, and, not to get embarrassed like they did the last time they were in a national championship game, that's a job well done. They're already talking about how NFL teams are interested in Freeman. To me,
Really?
I mean, it seems like he's a guy that isn't going to go anywhere right now anyway.
Jets?
No, the Jets, actually, they're talking about Aaron Glenn.
I know, I saw that.
Dave. And the GM, though, is he from... I missed where he was from. I don't know if it was Kansas City or it was just a guy in Detroit, but we'll take a look at that. But regardless, yeah, I think Notre Dame has a bright future. I actually am kind of interested too. Who's going to be their quarterback next year? I kind of want to look this up.
Notre Dame?
Yeah.
Let's see.
CJ Carr, former 4-star, was a number 66 overall prospect.
Oh, he was a freshman this year.
Yeah, he didn't play.
Yeah.
So, gonna be interesting. And then I'm kind of curious too. There's an article here because obviously it's never really completely set. But just their schedule next year, and I guess they're saying they're gonna be at Arkansas, at Pittsburgh, at Boston College, and they are also gonna face the Boise State Broncos.
Wow, dude.
So that's kind of interesting.
At Boise?
I don't know if it says
Doesn't say yet?
Boise State at home, Miami on the road. So that's going to be a tough one. And then it also says that they're going to host Texas A&M, Purdue, USC. Obviously, that's a rivalry game. Navy, they play every year.
Oh, yeah.
NC State and Syracuse. So seems pretty manageable. I mean, the Miami game will be a test, but kind of seems like the typical Notre Dame schedule. So this quarterback plays well. They replace the missing parts on defense. They have a good chance to be back. I mean, especially with the 12-team playoff, you feel like unless it's, just a really poor season for them, they're going to be in this playoff, I mean, most years.
Notre Dame?
Yeah, because not having the conference schedule or the championship game. I mean,
Right.
Like we talked about. I mean, I think, and a good coach. I mean, a lot of money, organization. I mean, school, university.
I know you had mentioned, too, that their safety is going to be potentially drafted. Do you see anyone else coming out of Notre Dame? I mean, what do you think about Leonard?
Leonard is a guy that, is going to be like a 7th rounder, undrafted. They'll try to, maybe put him at H-back. I mean, to me, even though it's obviously, I think things have changed and, you can't overlook mechanics, maybe like, even though it was never really that overlooked, but I think it was like very overlooked when it comes to like Tim Tebow, the release. But that's what Riley Leonard reminds me of, that it's just like the throwing is going to be a problem. The running is great, but the throwing is going to be a problem. So
Tim Tebow.
That's what it reminds
That's what
me
he reminds you of, Tim Tebow.
Yeah, obviously he's a righty. Tebow was a lefty, but I'm just saying, just in terms of like, there's just a question. Okay, he's going to throw darts in the NFL in tight windows.
Probably not.
Not really seeing it. So yeah, I mean, that's really what I know. And I don't think that. I just want to actually see too here. Great House is a sophomore. So he'll probably be back. And he had a great game, but overall this season, 600 yards receiving. So, he'll be back. So I don't know if there's a ton of, it's at least from the skill positions anyway, draft guys. I'm not too, up to speed on the defensive players, but doesn't seem like they're losing a ton other than, the safety and Leonard. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure, they usually have a pretty good recruiting class, so we'll see. But I do see we have a bunch of comments if we can get to those.
Oh yeah, of course, dude. As usual, early off, and Josh B, what up, fam? He says.
Josh B,
Josh B, dude.
And I was telling Tony, and it was funny. I was talking. It's like a tradition now when I'm like 20 minutes away from Mohegan, I pop onto Discord. Josh B, of course, always in there.
Yep.
So he was in there and call him actually. We had some good baseball conversation, and then he was telling me about his old AC poker room days. And supposedly, he's in there for hours and hours and milking blinds, but somehow walking out of there up like $700-800, which is obviously great. And I was just telling him, well, things on the blackjack table move a little quicker. But, over the years, grizzled vets now, I think we've learned, especially me specifically, you can't go too crazy. So luckily, like I was telling you, up and down tables ended up a little bit, and then, hit a couple of the sports bets. So ended up being a good night. I mean, anytime you go there, and you're up, it's a pretty good feeling the next day.
Of course.
Not even that it was like, I won $3,000, like nothing like that, a couple $100. But there's just still something about that. Even being up like $150.
No, literally, just to be up.
And it's like, I did everything for free, and then I'm walking away. What do I want to buy today?
Exactly.
Maybe some XRP. Who knows?
Whoa.
So yeah, I'm sure he's happy to hear that because I was telling you I just don't want it to be one of those nights, and it wasn't. It was a great time. So just wanted to update Josh on that.
Who also had a great time, I'm sure. Tommy Donovan says, "What's up, boys? Nice push by the Irish, but too little, too late."
Tommy.
He says. My mother also says, "Good morning, good morning, Mom." And then Carlton Best in here says, Pat McAfee, or however you spell it, did the ESPN2 broadcast.
Wait, this is the Carlton?
The Carlton, yeah.
Yeah,
this
what
is
up,
the
Carlton?
Dude.
Good to hear from him.
Yeah, as always. I didn't catch any McAfee, to be honest. And I know we said yesterday I wanted to see what it was going to be like, but I guess I totally forgot.
No, and I don't know, too, if he mentioned that because he thought you were saying you watched ESPN2, but you watched ESPN Plus, so that's why you didn't see it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And then Bronx718 says, "Let's go Yankees."
Let's fucking go. Bronxy is the man, and I have something to talk about that. We're going to get to that in a second, but let's finish the comments.
Tommy also says, Herb Street is a joke. Totally pro OSU and those fake happy tears when they won. Get the fuck out, he says. Wow, dude.
Interesting. Tommy, a little aggressive. You know what, to be honest, as soon as the game ended, it was basically cash out the bets, go to the tables. So I missed that part, but I think people have been kind of wishy-washy on him. I personally have always thought he'd done a good job. The only thing that was just a little much, and it's like, listen, I mean, everybody knows, you have a dog, it passes away, like it's a traumatic thing. Like we all understand that, but it was just like, I think anyway, because I didn't watch the game day every week, but people on Twitter were saying it's just like every week it's like his dog was up at the picks with him for game day. It just seemed like it was a little overdone. So just some things I think are a little cheesy there.
Oh, wow.
Overall, though, I will say, whether it's on the college broadcast or the Thursday night with Al, I think he does a good job. I don't know what you think.
He does okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like indifferent. I don't know about the dog thing though. I don't know.
Yeah. But I mean, and I know it's like okay, like who you're comparing it to, but like. I mean, I would say he far exceeds like Collinsworth. Like he's so much better than Collinsworth.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. Collins, don't get me started. And then Bronx over here says it should have been Georgia. So a little sour about the matchup, I suppose.
About the dogs, Tony.
Dogs,
the Georgia
dogs.
Dude. Maybe Georgia. If Carson Beck didn't get that UCL injury, maybe it would have been Georgia. But Georgia was not Georgia. Alabama was not Alabama, and that's why it was Notre Dame Ohio State in the championship game.
Yeah, absolutely right. We have 999 Juicy. It's Nelson. Shout out to our newest member.
Shout out Nelson.
Hi, dude.
Great to have a new member, freshly minted, Tony, in the building, right?
Wow, yeah, that's right. Good terminology there, Brian. Speaking of the terminology, we have Jay Bird 047 saying clutch field goal there from Ohio State.
I don't know if you saw it, but like it wasn't like that much in question, but there was a little draw on it. Almost like the Jeter field goal for Notre Dame against Penn State, just in the beginning, and then it just right in, and obviously that iced it. So
what's the word on Jeter? Was he a young kicker? Or
he's a senior. He kicked somewhere else.
Not going to be in the NFL?
I mean, maybe he'll end up on a practice squad, but
we're not going to hear Jeter from 60.
Yeah, that would be sick.
That would be kind of cool.
It seems like the potential is there, but the consistency is not. And that is why, just like with any position in college football, most of the kickers do not make it to the next level. So it doesn't make me feel like he's going to be there. Who knows?
Speaking of never making to the next level, we have Derek Ho's 2017 Connor Anna saying hi, dude.
Derek Ho's prefer. I'm completely convinced.
I mean, it could be, dude.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
And I had some crazy idea that I was thinking about, and I'm not going to say who, and you wouldn't even know who it is, but I was just randomly talking.
Someone from your past?
Yeah, like I was randomly talking to somebody yesterday when I was getting my haircut, and it just gave me an idea. Like, I don't think so. It would be kind of ridiculous if it's who I'm thinking it is, but didn't you always think all the time with prefer that it was someone that you knew rather than me, or no? I mean, I know it's like we floated every theory out there.
I just thought it was some random person, to be honest. Yeah,
okay.
I didn't think it was anyone that...
Just because it was a little crazy, though, with some of the things he would say. Though. That's why it was just making me think, like, okay, this is someone thinking, like, they're hilarious, like... Just going and going, but who knows? Honestly, a lot of weirdos.
I mean, I guess we'll never know, right? I mean, we haven't heard
probably,
from him,
but
dude.
that's why it's
prison. What are you doing?
That's what he said.
Didn't he say he came back from prison?
But see, that's
not believable.
It's
not believable.
No,
I mean, I guess he could have,
but he didn't.
but he probably did.
Yeah.
And we also have Joe Valdez in here, video game and movie. He says, hello,
Mr.
everybody.
Valdez.
How are you doing, my friends? And I'm done with your subscription here. Well, I appreciate you subbing here, dude, and we're doing pretty well. Pumped to be talking
definitely
about
appreciate
sports
it.
and excited that you're tuning in, dude. So
Absolutely.
we appreciate all our fans out there.
Oh,
today.
one thing, and it pains me, Tony, that I forgot to do this at the top of the show. But happy birthday to my mom.
Wow.
I'm gonna go to Testo's later for dinner.
Stop it, really?
An early dinner. So looking forward to that.
That's awesome. You know what you're getting already?
You know, I don't really know, honestly. Last time I was there, it was some special with Yonki and vodka sauce and filet tips.
Yoki.
I always say it wrong. Pooch would always make fun of me. He would basically, so like, instead of just calling it what it is, he would call it the New York. Because like Yankees, so it's Yonki?
Yoki.
Yonki. It just sounds weird. I know that's the way to say it, but I'm saying just, when you're used to saying something wrong or not,
Yonki.
I mean, when you say it
I guess you
way,
could pronounce Yankee, I guess.
Yeah, but
Sure.
you always say the New York Yankees.
Yankees, dude. Well, happy birthday to your mother, dude. For
Yes.
sure. What is she going to get? Do you know? If you had to guess.
That is a tough one.
Like a little, maybe filet mignon?
No,
maybe
it's
steak, or
definitely a pasta, I would say. I
shrimp
would think.
scampi over linguine?
Yeah, or even just a basic like tomato sauce, like something
Gnocchi.
like that. It could be a Yankee, honestly. But anyhow, I mean, kind of we're already talking about it. If we could go, Tony, a little switch up here to the world of Major League Baseball.
Pujols it's deep to left. It's 700. Albert Pujols.
Yeah, what a play! Stop it. Yep. And Alonso cracks one. The Mets win the ball game. Out of sight.
And it works at 100 miles an hour. 14 strikeout.
Drilled deep to left field. There it goes. See ya.
All right. So we were going to talk baseball yesterday. And apologies again. Tony made me feel like an asshole in the group chat with Josh B. Like, of course, we always like Josh B to call in. He was a little tight on time. Had some running around to do. And then, I talked to him on the Discord. So I felt like, hey, listen, we heard him out there. It's all right. It's all right. And actually, I was mentioning this before, and I feel like it's just gonna be. I know how you're gonna react to this because you always, I don't know, you just always just have this certain reaction. But whatever. I know it sounds like I'm calling you out, but just what I noticed. So last night, it was all riled. Corey's there, obviously. We know him. Working with the Double-A team, and we started talking about spring training, and then I just was like this impulse thing. Gonna go to 2 spring training games. Like I think it's the first week of March, like a Thursday to Sunday.
Get the fuck out of
Booked
here!
everything
Really?
last night, like just riled. Like,
That's
let's
awesome,
go.
dude.
So yeah, it's a perfect schedule. So what it is Thursday. I'm gonna take like a 7 a.m. flight, 1 o'clock day game, go chill, whatever. After the game, and then the next day is a night game, probably golf during the day. And then they're off on Saturday, so probably get some golf in again, maybe beach, Sunday, same thing. So it'll be like 2 days of games, 2 days of just chilling. I haven't been to Tampa since I actually visited Corey, I think, which was like, 9 years ago. He used to live right outside of Wesley Chapel. So pumped, gonna stay actually right near the stadium too, so like easy access. And,
Wow, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, he always loves going down there, and it was just funny that like we were just talking about that yesterday. Me and Matt were just talking about it. I was just texting him about it this morning, and it just was like If I could do this, like I might as well just go. Like, especially because I don't know, who knows with like, his positions, like, whatever job he's gonna have, years to come. It's like he's gonna be there now. So
Yeah, dude.
let's just do it.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
That's
so
gonna be
I'm
so sick.
Pumped about
Are you
that.
bringing your own clubs?
To be decided, but I
Wow.
almost want to, just because it's like it's $35 to bring them on the plane both ways, and it's like if you rent them at a place, it might be $100.
I was gonna say you're golfing twice too, so it's like
I mean, it could be 3 times. I mean, who really knows? Plus, there's night golf too. So
That's sick, dude.
definitely stoked for that. Have you been to Tampa?
Not since I was a kid.
Yeah, because and even when I went that time, we didn't go to any games. I'm trying to think. We just went like out to eat one time, but his Wesley Chapel was like a little setback. But I did go when I was in high school. And we went to, and I think I told you this a long time ago, a Buccaneers Falcons game last week of the season. Record lows, like 20 degrees. Like it just was unbelievable. And I think too, it was the Falcons won. So it was the first time in their franchise history, and this was like 15 years ago or something, or even a little longer, that they won. They had 2 seasons of 2 non-losing seasons in a row. So it just speaks to obviously the desperation of that organization.
Desperation.
And Dog was actually kind of, I think it was Dog. I don't know if you heard this part of the conversation today, but he was kind of just like, basically like shitting on Arthur Blank, like saying like, I don't know why he didn't hire Belichick. He was all set to do it. And like Raheem Morris, like they cost him the play. And he was like kind of going on a rant. Did you hear that part?
Yeah. That was the beginning.
Yeah. So it was, it was kind of funny, but yeah, just wanted to share that. Definitely pumped.
I mean, he's
George
not wrong.
M. Steinbrenner Field. Let's fucking go. But he isn't wrong. And maybe, that's why the Falcons, find themselves in the situations that they do. The one thing I would say, though, is it seems like they're headed in the right direction. I don't know. Will Morris, he was really going after him with that clock management against the Commanders. Will he cost them? I mean, we'll see. But I do think the talent, like I've mentioned before, is there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it should be interesting to see, I guess, what happens at their quarterback position, too. But, I mean, you still would imagine that Penix does kind of develop and they use him. I mean, there's no reason not to, right?
Yeah.
Except for obviously the bag you're giving Cousins, I suppose. But still, you're not gonna,
Yeah. So that's an interesting situation. But we haven't talked baseball in a while. Obviously, I wasn't here last week. I guess you probably talked with Zach a little bit.
Yeah, I did.
But we had some interesting signings.
That's right.
Sasaki and Tanner Scott.
Yep.
Going to the Dodgers, and this has kind of been a sore subject for me, and I feel like I'm on an island, which is whatever. I'll be on an island, and I'll preface this by saying, because this was actually kind of the root of the heated debate I had the other night about the Yankees, and somehow it turned into the Mets as well. Obviously, it was with the Mets
Because you bring it up.
No, that wasn't what happened.
Right.
But anyway, no, it really wasn't. But so I just think it's like, yes. Like, is the Dodgers roster the best in the game? I mean, we all know that. Yes. Does it seem like they're signing everybody under the sun? Yeah, it does. But I just think, like, if we just really take a step back, Tony, there isn't – I know they've signed all these guys, so it seems like, oh, they have, like, 15 All-Stars on the team, which I know is an exaggeration, but you get what I'm saying.
Not too far off.
And it's like – but really, when we're talking about – sure things, I feel like it's like Ohtani and Betts. And then everybody else, pitching, injuries. Freeman we could put in there.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he is getting up there. So it's like it does seem like we're getting to that point. And then, Kershaw, if he even pitches, how's he going to do? How's Sasaki going to transition over to the major leagues? How is Yamamoto going to do in his second year? Blake Snell, we've seen be a dominant pitcher and a very mediocre pitcher. So I just feel like for a team that, has all this firepower, I just feel like I don't look at it as, oh my God, like just give the Dodgers a trophy right now. I think they can be beaten. Does this stuff help them? Yes. And I was saying this to Corey yesterday. I just feel like, when we look back at the history of baseball is so different than any other sport. But I think even more so, But how many times is it like, oh yeah, the team, they spent hundreds of millions of dollars in free agency and they just won the World Series. And I know they just won the World Series last year. I get that, but I'm just talking about this offseason. It seemed like they dominated the offseason. But not many times that I can remember, maybe you want to say Yankees in 09, with, Teixeira, Burnett, and CeCe. But not many times it's like that team wins the World Series. It's like, not always does just in general the best team win the World Series. So that's why I don't feel so deflated as I feel like other baseball fans do. And it's not even just Yankee fans, Mets fans, any fan. It just seems like the common perception is, oh, fucking Dodgers. Like, we're fucked. Like, we have no chance. That's what it feels like the perception is of every other fan. And I don't think you feel that way. I know you think they're going to be very tough to beat, but I don't think, I mean, you tell me, but I don't think you feel like that they're unbeatable.
No, I mean, nobody is unbeatable. That's crazy, and yes, I mean, nothing's set in stone. I mean, yes, the two teams that were in the World Series had some of the highest payrolls around the league last season, for sure. But, not for, and yes, they were favorited. They were winning their divisions and whatnot. But then the year prior, you had two wild card teams, make it to the World Series. And it's like, yeah, I mean, obviously every year is different. The seasons are so long. It would take someone who doesn't really watch baseball to be like, you can't call it. You just can't at all.
Right.
Like, you don't know what the team's going to look like. I would say, in terms of the Dodgers, I mean, yeah, there are very few arguments that you can make for them to lose. I mean, not for nothing. I mean, yes, we've seen them struggle in the postseason, fumble it. But I think last year specifically did prove a lot. I mean, their offense is obviously very stout, and, navigating a postseason with the injuries they had on their pitching staff, I think is what a little bit, I think was obviously what was different. I mean, it was no, I guess new story for, Dustin May to be out for a while, Walker Buehler to miss a bunch of time, Kershaw to be out. I mean, that happens every year, it seems. Every other year they have major pitchers, that are injured, out for significant time or whatnot. And they did. They labored through. They figured out a way to, work their bullpen, use Buehler out of the pen, dude, So, I mean, listen, you can't doubt how good the Dodgers organization is and talent, but I mean, we'll see what happens in October, sort of deal. This team could look entirely different. There is a lot of things that are up in the air, injuries included. You don't know what the team's going to look like. I mean, not for nothing, Betts was out for a while last season too. You never know. Freeman had that toe injury too through the postseason. He was laboring through that.
Looked like he was kind of finished until the Grand Slam.
No, yeah, quite literally. The guy was limping to first base. And not to mention, I mean, Sasaki, for example, too. I mean, he's someone we never know, how he'll really adjust the MLB. Obviously, again, it works in the Dodgers' favor because they have so many pitchers. They can roll with 6 guys in the rotation, give him a lot of time off. He's obviously with Yamamoto there. He's going to be, Ohtani, going to be obviously under their tutelage, knowing what to do. But again, I mean, it's a different game, different ball. We've seen Sasaki. I think, I mean, his ERA is ridiculous for the league he was in.
Right.
But obviously, it's just a different time, and he had struggled with some shoulder discomfort too. I mean, we've seen someone like Kadai Senga come in the league and immediately be injured. So
Tanaka.
Yeah,
exactly. Tommy John his rookie season.
So it really is like a big toss up, to say that the Dodgers are winning the World Series again. I mean, it's just so hard to tell. It's such a hard thing to achieve, even with the best team on paper. All that being said, though, I mean, it is pretty outrageous that the Dodgers seem to have some type of funnel from Japan now, because it's just like the more guys they get from Japan, the more guys from Japan are going to want to go there and sort of deal. And obviously, it seems that there is more of an influx coming in recent years, so it should be interesting to see. And I know, like, other West Coast teams were on the docket for Sasaki in terms of final teams interested. I think the Padres maybe were one in Toronto,
Blue Jays,
right?
Yeah.
So obviously, it's going to be interesting to see how that develops across the league and stuff, because again, it seems like that there's that they're kind of pumping out some good pitchers or players and stuff like that, which is cool. But yeah, dude, I mean, it definitely does sting a little bit to see. I'm sure, obviously for you, but also for me. I mean, the Mets, have to go through the Dodgers, it would seem, to get to the World Series. So it's not going to be easy for sure.
It's not going to be easy. But also one thing that I was pointing out yesterday, and besides everything that I've pointed out already, talking about the pitchers, the injuries, and the fact that you have a couple guys that are a sure thing, and other guys that you have high expectations for, but you don't really know. But the thing that I was talking again with Corey yesterday and Mike as well, and I don't think Mark was there at the time, but it's like postseason baseball. Yes, okay, a game 7. It does matter who your starter is. A lot of times, though, they are pulled early. But is it the team that has the best starting rotation that wins the World Series most of the time? Or is it the team that pitches the best out of the bullpen and gets the clutch hits, the team that wins? So that's why it's like I understand this. It's so overwhelming, this rotation. But it's like, I mean, also, too, I just feel like postseason pitching is so different. I feel like these really good pitchers, they struggle in the postseason a lot. So that's why I just don't feel as overwhelmed as everybody else. And I feel good, about the Yankees this year. And this is actually the root of the argument. I was just saying that, first of all, in the World Series last year, I know it was 4-1. At the end of the day, 4-1 is 4-1. But I didn't think that they completely dominated us. Like, oh, yeah, every game they won by 5 runs. They scored 10 runs every single game. It wasn't like that. I think, Ohtani didn't even hit well, but they got clutch hits, and the bullpen pitched well. They're using all these bullpen games, starters in the bullpen, all of this stuff. But that's why they won. So I felt like the margin of victory wasn't that big. And it's like, for us this year, I think while we don't have Soto, and no one can say that you can't underestimate the loss of Soto. I mean, he was unbelievable for us last year. I'm not disputing that. But I just think there is something to having a deeper, balanced lineup with more speed and better defense, not to mention a better bullpen. So that's why I feel like despite them loading up, I still feel like we have a better shot this year than we did last year. But a lot of times I say something like this and everybody's looking at me side-eye. So like I said, I know I'm on an island, but that's just truly how I feel. And it's not even me just coming from, of course, just being a Yankee diehard fan. I just think that's true. I just think like baseball, one guy doesn't determine it. And you can't argue, Tony, that the defense and the lack of dominant arms in the bullpen really cost us in that series.
Yeah, it was pretty evident out there, and I mean, at the end of the day, again, it's tough because you really don't know what these teams are going to look like come the postseason. But you'd imagine, Yankees having been there before would learn from their mistakes. I mean, I don't think you're going to see Judge or Cole make those mistakes again that really cost them in that 5th inning. So you'd imagine it would be chalked up to a big learning experience. But still, at the end of the day, it's like, the Dodgers improved their team, as well at the same time. So, assuming that they're going to be healthy, assuming that they won't even have to have those bullpen games, it's still going to be a very hard team to take down, for sure. But, like we're saying here, it's not, nothing is guaranteed.
But I am interested to hear you say about this because, like I said, I think soup to nuts, better team than we had last year, despite Soto. Honestly, what do you think?
Do I think you have a better team now without Soto?
Overall team, yes.
I would say so. I think your offseason acquisitions, I know people were kind of tight at the Max Fried thing, but I think that's great.
And the fact that he gets to be your number 2 starter rather than Carlos Rodon.
Yeah, dude. That's awesome. Yeah. Obviously, I've seen him pitch a lot against the Mets, so he was always dominant. Obviously, there was some times where he struggled, but regardless, he's going to be a very solid starter for you guys who can pitch a complete season as well. So I would say from an all-around perspective, yes, better. Yeah, I guess that's where I'll leave that.
And I just think offensively, and again, I know that leaves a void, but I just think the fact that we don't have to suffer through Rizzo at bats, Verdugo at bats, and then also just like having Glaber in this lineup with the tendency to make huge mistakes, whether it's on the bases or just, and also too, everyone was all excited how he did it leadoff. If you look at it though, World Series, he didn't hit at all. So that's why I just think too that we have a better chance to score runs and we have more speed, which, you have to to do things like that to beat really good teams, steal a bag when you need to, go first to home on a single. And I feel like with the fact that you got Dominguez on this team now, and the fact that you probably should have, Peraza playing a lot too, that you have guys that can fly. I mean, when was the last time the Yankees have had guys that could fly? We were talking about it yesterday with Tommy, who's in the comments here, that it was like for 10 years, it was like, oh, yeah, Gardner leads the team, 20 stolen bases, no one has more than 5. So that is also another element that I'm really excited about.
Yes. No, yeah, I mean, obviously there's a lot to be excited about. Pumped for the season for sure, dude.
And what do we got here?
A few comments here from Ken. I get Kiki double, like Kike Hernandez. This is sad saying so many words without saying anything at all, he says. Dodger fan, maybe?
Yeah, probably.
Probably.
But I mean, Tony, you tell me. I mean, I don't think I'm saying anything that's crazy. Like, fundamentals are important. Like, it's not just about having a 40 home run hitter batting second. Like, there's more parts to the team.
No, yeah, I understand. I mean, you're just basically saying that it's not like people were saying it's over. You're saying it's not over. She's not even started
but
yet.
I'm crazy,
like,
though. That's what everybody's saying, other than Tommy.
I mean, it is. I think it is crazy to think the Dodgers are going to just go back to back. Like, there's no problem. That's not going to happen. Like, there's going to be struggles in the season. There's going to be injuries. There's going to be teams that may look better than them come October. Like, it's not going to be chalk,
Yeah.
There's still a lot that's up in the air. And not to mention, like, the Dodgers, I mean, again, they won the World Series. It's great. Like, good for them. Organization, tremendous, historical, whatever. But they've blown it also in the playoffs, like,
They had
several
set their
times,
franchise
dude.
win record a couple years ago, and they lost to the Diamondbacks in the division series. Got swept.
Yeah, so it's very possible for them to blow it. That being said here, Tommy says that discussion between Barnes and Hellman about the Dodgers winning the World Series is possibly the most entertaining thing in recent memory.
I'm sure you wish you were there for that one.
I do now that everyone's talking about it. And he says that I'm assuming he says this is like it's gonna be so much closer than 4-1. Or
The World Series last year was closer than 4-1.
Oh, okay.
Which, I mean, obviously, I mean, I know we've went over this a million times, but the things that come to mind were, the handling in Game 1, Nestor the Grand Slam, and then obviously the Game 5 collapse. I mean, those two things go differently, completely different ballgame. Obviously, they didn't. So now it's just about, not making mistakes and capitalizing when you have an opportunity, like to go up 1-0. So yeah, I'm interested to see. I mean, I would say too. Just looking at this season, I guess it seems like the biggest question mark that everybody kind of goes to is like first and second base, assuming that Jazz will play third. And like I feel good about giving the prospects a chance, whether it's Vivas or Peraza, or you can even put Cabrera there. But I would say that Goldschmidt is probably the biggest wild card, given the age, given the poor numbers last year. I know he heated up second half, but that's kind of what I look at. Other than that, I think the team is rock solid. I mean, do you kind of see those things as the biggest like kind of question marks?
I guess so. I mean, I really enjoyed the Goldschmidt deal. I think it definitely was great value. And not to mention, did he have 42 home runs last year? Or was that 2 seasons ago where he almost 2 seasons ago he had like 47 home runs or something like that, right? Was it 50?
Or like high 30s,
high
I think.
30s,
I mean,
maybe?
I'll pull it up. But
I'll pull it up first about that.
You probably will. Donning those Yankee pinstripes. He hit 35 home runs in 2022, won the MVP.
Oh, that was MVP year. Okay, so 22 last year, 25 the year before that. I mean, I still think, I guess solid production there. Kind of like went down a little bit. Not for nothing, dude. Like, it seemed like St. Louis in general was just going down. So I just think maybe him, Yankees, let's go. Maybe you'll see him hit, 33 home runs or something like that. Cody Bellinger also is great.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't even mention his name.
And so, yeah, I mean, you have depth. You have the ability, just like any other team around the league here, to have a great offensive year. And then, of course, the Devin Williams signing is pretty huge as well.
And the fact that Weaver is now your setup guy.
Which is huge. Because, listen, we very much were pro Luke Weaver here at DTV. And not for nothing, like, his performance in the postseason was not only very good, but it was just, like, I mean, obviously he had some mistakes, whatever, but the Yankee organization just asked so much from him.
And he just
for the
stepped
first
right
time
up.
in his life.
Stepped up,
And he
no
stepped up
problem.
huge, dude. And he did it with like a chip on his shoulder and like a sense of tenaciousness. Tenacity, I guess is the word I should say. So you got to appreciate that. And the fact that he'll now have help. Like, it's not just going to be him that they're going to rely on. That they can go to Williams and who knows what else.
Cruz, Clayton Beater could actually play a bigger role this
Never
year.
know.
Loizaga, if he's healthy, is a really big arm.
That's right.
Ian Hamilton, if he's healthy, could contribute a lot. I am really excited about Cruz. I know we talked about that when they made that deal, but his stuff is there. The high strikeout rate, I think the highest in the National League last year.
That's pretty sick.
And the fact too that Matt Blake has done this before. So yeah, no, a lot to be excited about. I would say for sure. And I don't think we definitely didn't talk about this because it happened over the weekend. But the Mets, what was it? AJ Minter, 2 for 22.
Yeah, dude.
222.
2 for 22 with, I think, an opt-out after the first year.
Okay.
So, again, like limited risk. I know, again, someone coming from the Braves organization, see him pitch very well against the Mets a few times out of the pen. Does have a good, I think his fastball clocks in at 96, 95.
Okay.
He's a fastball. He's got a cutter, change up. Closed before. So it's definitely going to be, I think, a big piece for the bullpen. I think he's 31 maybe now. Coming off of a season-ending hip injury last year, though. That's probably the biggest question mark.
2.62 ERA last year.
Yeah, so very, very manageable, like a great pitcher. Again, someone who you can hammer the fastball. So that's good. Like, out of the pen, I think that's going to be a good piece to have, especially if you have Minaya or Senga, I guess, who maybe don't rely on the fastball as much. You can have a guy out of the pen, kind of throwing something a little bit different at this lineup here. So I kind of like it. It is a little bit of a toss-up because of the hip thing. But as long as he stays healthy, I mean, he would be a good piece for the bullpen. So I like that move right there. It does get me a little bit more hyped, I think, for the Mets season. There's still a lot more moves I would have done if I was Stearns that obviously you can't do now. But hey, I mean, it is what it is at this point. So we'll see what happens. What do you got? What? You got a big smile on your face right now.
No, honestly, you're right. I shouldn't be smiling like this because it kind of ruins like what I was gonna say. I was kind of making a joke, but I'll just say it anyway. But as our old friends, Abbott and Costello once said, Tony, who's on first?
Oh, that's a good one, dude. It's a great question. Because it really seems like right now that the Mets have kind of backed away from Pete Alonso. I think last we heard Alonso laid down a deal. I forget what it was for, but apparently it was nowhere near like the money or the length that the Mets put down. But I think it was somewhere around the ballpark of like 4 for 120 or something.
But he wants opt-outs. They don't want to give him opt-outs, but they'll give him less money with opt-outs.
I think what they offered him though was like less than 3 for 90.
No, it was like 3 for 28. I think Tommy was
each
talking
year.
about this
Yeah, which is like, I don't know, man. I mean, I said that 3 for 30 each, was probably the most I would do. $30 million a year for 3 years, but the fact that they can't come even close to, or I don't know, or someone's not budging.
Stearns doesn't want him. That's what I feel.
I don't know. I think Stearns does want him.
But at his number, is he kind of like it's a Cashman type of thing?
Yeah, I do think so. I mean, he's just playing a little hardball, rightfully so. I mean, we've talked about it. Pete Alonso is not worth the money he's asking, probably. And honestly, who else is really going to pay him? Like,
what about
I don't
Toronto,
know,
who added Santander 5 for 92.5 yesterday?
Yeah, it doesn't help Alonso.
Doesn't help Alonso, but they're interested in Alonso. So if you had Alonso, Santander, Vladdy, and then Bichette bouncing back, I mean, that's a pretty good lineup. I mean, I think the Blue Jays are kind of like desperate to kind of.
Yeah, but what are they like? Correct me if I'm wrong, though. Like, Vladdy's going to be a free agent after next season, right?
They're working on an extension.
So
also, though, Alonso insurance, far less money, of course. I mean, Vladdy, you would imagine, is going to be well over $40 million.
Yeah, that's for sure, though. But I mean, not for nothing. I'm not going to put myself in Vladdy's shoes or say what he's thinking or try to anticipate what he's thinking. But I would imagine if they do grab Alonso, Vladdy's going to be like, what the fuck is this?
Well, given his build, would we be shocked that he would be like, all right, I'll just be a DH?
Vladdy?
Yeah. He's not a good fielder, right?
No. I guess so. But, I don't know how that would necessarily fly. We'll see what happens. But I don't know, man. It's tough. I think that both Alonso, or I guess I should really say Boris, maybe both Boris and Stearns are playing hardball. But I think at the end of the day, both Stearns and Alonso want to have Alonso in the Mets. I feel.
It's interesting though, because I definitely have gotten I mean, you know, you're closer to the situation than me, but it just seems like the way people talk, it seems like that Cohen wants Alonso, but Stearns is. It seems like he kind of is preferring not to get him. That's what people are saying. I mean,
it could be.
Said, you would know better.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, listen, the fact that whatever deal they had on the table last that got rejected, the fact that they walked away from it then at that point, I mean, obviously does open up the floor for Alonso to be signing somewhere else. Stearns, yeah, I mean, the short leash he has with Alonso, be that as it may, I do think Cohen, though, no matter what, he said that he's a sports, Stearns' decision. Him and Stearns are on the same page and whatnot. So, I mean, I have no doubt that they know what they're doing. In terms of what the scenario could look like without Alonso, I don't know if I really like it, dude. I mean, I guess it's not horrible because you obviously would at that point probably throw Vientos at first.
And then, wait, do they still have Beatty or did they trade him?
No, they still have him. Why?
I don't know why I thought that. I just was curious. No, I was thinking, is he an option at third?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
yeah. I thought so. I was like, wait a minute. But yeah, I mean, he would be an option at third. You have a couple others, I guess. I don't know where they're talking about maybe possibly Mauricio.
Okay.
But then it's also what's going on? Iglesias he's just still a free agent, right? So I mean, what, are you gonna throw McNeil back at second and have Lindor at short, and then try Mauricio, maybe Beatty at third? See the timeshare thing. Or are you going to toss in maybe Acuna at second and keep McNeil in the outfield and then have a Nimmo, McNeil, Soto deal? But then you have Marte, so it's what do you do with him? Is he even going to be fucking healthy for the whole year? At some point, McNeil probably is going to have to be in the outfield. We don't have a fucking outfield, by the way. I've been saying this. I know we got Soto, which is great, but we still don't have.
Because is Nimmo going to play center?
Nimmo will play center.
Okay.
Soto will be in right.
So then
Taylor will be in left.
Taylor being left, yeah.
And they have Jose Siri, who's utility. You can throw him anywhere. Pretty sure Bader's still a free agent.
You don't want him.
No, I don't want him. And then it's and then again, you get Marte out there who is not going to put out a full season. Anticipation is he'll be injured for an extensive period of time. Yes, will he be? I guess maybe somewhat productive on offense, probably. He better be I think you're paying him $20 million this year. So I don't know. It's kind of a tough. There's gonna be some shuffling around. But I think because of all these guys and a lot of the young talent, that's why Stearns isn't Alonso goes. Oh, I don't think not that he doesn't care that much, but he knows that he could potentially fill the spot. But me personally, I like Vientos at third. I'd like to see him continue at third. As much as I was rooting for Beatty to remain as good as he was when he, I guess, first came up to the big leagues, it just doesn't really seem like that could happen. I don't know. Mauricio, not for nothing, is a bit of a question mark. He tore his ACL last season.
Right.
So it's I don't know what's going to happen there. He obviously lost a whole season of development, and he has to come back with the knee. Acuna did well in the postseason, had some big hits, obviously, the home runs, has the speed, has that kind of, I guess, demeanor to him. So that would be kind of interesting maybe at second, but, I guess we'll see what happens. I mean, a lot kind of revolves around if Alonso is signed or not. So
yeah.
And not for nothing, dude, you still have to make up for his home run production if you don't sign him.
Yeah.
So you got to figure that. I know you have Soto, which could arguably make up for it, but still, I mean, you're still banking on then Vientos to,
right. Vientos might be one of their most important players.
Yeah.
Having that season again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I guess we'll kind of see what happens here. But I mean, yeah, dude. I'm trying to be a little bit more positive about it. Just because I thought maybe at this point of the offseason, the Mets would have a more complete roster.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think, Stearns, the waiting game, like a lot of other teams are, other than the Dodgers. So, still some guys out there, and Santander. I mean, I thought that was a pretty good deal for Toronto. Like I said, it's not like Toronto is going to be a serious contender or anything, but just from a value perspective, I mean, the guy did hit 40 home runs last year. It's not a huge deal, and it feels like anybody that was like, oh, we want more offense. That's a pretty good deal. Just dollars wise, isn't it only less than like 20 million a year? Yeah.
Yeah, to 5 into 9, 2.5.
I think
dude.
18 seems like ridiculously cheap. I mean, I guess it's like, post 30, defense, strikeout rate, I'm guessing, but Premier Power is Premier Power. So I thought that was a good signing for them. And
great name too.
It's annoying, and it is a great name to have to keep, facing him in the division. He has done well against the Yankees. So we'll see what happens. Definitely excited for baseball for sure, Tony. But if we can switch gears and go to the world of the National Hockey League.
Speed, here he comes. McDavid shoots, top shelf, he scores! Captain with the overtime winner! That's the middle, it's a world-class hit right here. Tomsky stepping, rink wide! Made the full split save! Are you kidding me? Turn, side of the net, between the legs, and they score! Filthy! David Pastrnak, the silver trophy to the Golden Knights!
All right. So this hockey segment is brought to you by The Knowlton. Looking for the perfect venue to make your next event unforgettable? Check out The Knowlton, Fairfield County's premier waterfront event space right here in Bridgeport. Whether it's a wedding, bar, or bat mitzvah, private party, or corporate gathering, The Knowlton has you covered with 3 stunning, versatile spaces suited for picturesque waterfront moments, creative and professional gatherings, or elegant celebrations. And we were talking before the show, the great 700 episode at the Boathouse. I know you guys have also done the gaming corner there as well. Just a tremendous venue. And for more information, visit theknowlton.com to book your tour today, Tony. But speaking of the National Hockey League, decent slate of games yesterday. Started early and often, the Martin Luther King
That's right.
day. So NBA had some earlier games as well. Kind of running those down, starting at the top, first game of the day.
Yes.
Went the way that we anticipated, despite the Sharks leading 3-2, going to the third period. Boston, though, 4 unanswered to close this one out. So maybe they're kind of hanging in there. Charlie Coyle had 2 goals and an assist. Posty, a goal and assist as well. It is the Sharks, but kind of a similar situation to the Rangers, albeit, they're working with an interim head coach here. But I mean, they're still alive. They have a chance. And you were mentioning yesterday, Swayman playing better. So kind of holding their own right now and hoping for a run.
Yeah, sure. I mean, they're also going to be fighting for a wild card spot, it seems. You never know. Maybe they could go up, further if they go on a, significant run. But not for nothing. I mean, right there, that offensive prowess, 4 goals in the third, you got to feel pretty good. I know it's against the Sharks, but at this point, the Bruins, who have, obviously had their fair share of problems this year. I mean, it's a step in the right direction for them,
Yeah, absolutely. So that was the first game of the day. And then we also saw the Wild, which was a surprise to me, 3-1 over the Avalanche. And, they had been struggling. But overall, still very solid this year. 17-5-3 away from Minnesota. Very impressive here. Avalanche, still 28-19. Just seemed like, they had an off game. I think it's obvious that these are 2 teams that we will see in the playoffs and potentially 2 teams that could get deeper into the playoffs, given, I feel like, the depth of both of these rosters.
Yeah, that's for sure, dude. I would say pretty surprising win here for the Wild. Obviously, Marc-Andre Fleury, who I think now he tied a record with Brodeur for like the most seasons with a certain amount of wins, I think, or something like that. Obviously, approaching his 40th year on this earth, I believe.
Yeah.
Tremendous feat for Marc-Andre Fleury. It is crazy to think that, this guy who won cups with the Penguins, was on the Vegas Golden Knights as well, who was turned away by both those teams, getting older, whatever. Still kicking ass over there for Minnesota, which is great. And in terms of them scoring, I mean, again, 2 answers in the third period by Minnesota. Another, late game push here. A lot of great hockey was played, no doubt, yesterday. But you got to imagine that this matchup's going to be great for the rest of the season too.
Yeah. And two teams, not as talented or as good of records as those two, faced off in Seattle yesterday, as we saw the Kraken 6-4 over the Sabres. The Kraken 2 goals in each period, and end up putting this away late there in the third period. So they moved to 21-24-3. Sabres, having a tough year, hot at times, but more cold than hot. 17-24-5. What was a surprise to me, the Blues winning in a shootout, and this was on at the sports book. Later on in the evening, we saw this, but surprised to see the Blues pull this one out. The Knights had that impeccable record at home, but we know the Rangers had just went there and beat them. So just kind of showing anything in the National Hockey League can happen. But it is just interesting with the shootout. It is exciting, but sometimes it just feels like that it's not the right way to end the game. And you wish, I don't know, that they would maybe lengthen the overtime period, but obviously I don't think that's probably going to happen.
No, they're not going to lengthen the overtime period. It's already 3-on-3.
Or make it 5-on-5. Why can't it be 5-on-5?
They used to do that.
But what? No one scores.
Well, it's just then no one ends up scoring, and then you end up going to shootout anyway.
But just fuck the shootout. But I know they're not going to do that.
They can't do that. You can't have ties. You're not going to just play a regular season game, until you score again.
Can't just do 10 minutes with the 3-on-3.
10 minutes, 3-on-3, and then what? If that doesn't work, then you go
shootout.
Then
But I think we would have less shootouts. 5 more minutes.
Oh yeah, probably. I don't know, man. I mean, it's kind of tough. I don't mind the format right now. I kind of hated it when they did go to the 3-on-3 in overtime.
Now you're used to it.
I'm used to it. It does make sense because I know there was games at the end of the year where it didn't really matter for one team, but it mattered for the other team, or it didn't matter for both teams, but one team, their next game mattered, and all of a sudden they're playing a double overtime game, and they're on the back-to-back, and it's like, dude, why are we even doing this sort of deal? Right. Or teams that were clinched, they wouldn't even exactly. So I don't know, man. I mean, I think it's working for the sport. Obviously it adds something different. Regular season games, the losses, 3-on-3, it's not real hockey, whatever. But in terms of this game, I mean, also kind of a great, because I was watching this game before the national championship. And dude, there was so much scoring going on between St. Louis and Vegas, and another late game push. Vegas comes back, 2 goals in the third. Again, I can't believe how many good hockey games were on last night. Dude.
And I think they tied it right with 20 seconds left.
19:30, dude.
Yeah,
30 seconds left.
2 goals in the last 3.5 minutes or whatever. So that was exciting. The Maple Leafs Lightning was exciting and kind of went the way we expected. A lot of scoring, tight really till late, where Toronto was able to put it away with a Mitch Marner empty netter. So Maple Leafs here moved to 30, 16-2, 19-9 at home. Lightning fall to 25, 17-3. We mentioned that mediocre road record of 10, 11-2. Austin Matthews with his 19th. Nylander, 28 goals. That's something that doesn't get talked about too much. And Nyes also has 17 and 18 because he scored 2 goals last night. Marner with 15. Toronto's dangerous. I know we have the same conversation every time. What's it going to look like come the Stanley Cup playoffs?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, it always is that question. I will say, 30, 16-2, they've been keeping it pretty consistently good throughout the season, and that was even with Matthews had some time injured, I believe. So you like that. Some of their goaltending has been doing pretty well as also. So yeah, dude. I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. It's obviously a lot of offense, but like we're saying, come the playoffs, sometimes they're like the LA Dodgers.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, I just saw this in the It's so funny that it's actually really weird that you said the Dodgers. I just saw this in the TCA chat. I guess they signed Kirby Yates.
Really,
deal. And I'm sure the deal is not like anything crazy, but he was pretty good last year.
Yeah.
So yeah, another piece as Andrew Freeman and co. Continue to work the phones. Wow, I didn't realize his numbers were that good last year.
Yeah, dude, kind of ridiculous.
So
7-2, 1.17 ERA for the
and then you
Dodgers,
throw in
the Rangers.
Kopech, you throw in Tanner Scott. I think they brought back Blake Trinan, if I'm not mistaken.
They did bring back Trinan.
I thought, or maybe not. Maybe they didn't.
Dude, he was like again someone who also just like stepped up in the postseason, like kind of.
Well,
crazy,
and it's kind of he's had an interesting career. Kind of was spotty with the Nationals, but had that great year with the A's. And then blew up against the Yankees in the wild card game and kind of didn't recover for a while. But now it seems like he has new life here at age 36. And his ERA has been under 2 the last 2 seasons or 3 seasons.
And he signed a 2-year, $22 million contract.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're deep. Like I said, it's not going to be easy. But it is doable. And Corey actually just texted in the group chat. Wow. Dodgers got Kirby Yates. Tommy says, I think it was 20 seconds with
Seasons with 10 wins for Fleury.
For Fleury.
Yeah, that's what beat Brodor's record.
The ice gets too
shitty, he says. Only a dry scrape after the third. Well, that's true. I mean, I guess I'm trying to remember if I don't think they even when they did 5-on-5 overtime, I don't think they had the Zambonis come out.
Yeah, because it was always,
I don't think it was always right after. So
the trap was real despite a early goal for Columbus. Islanders -170. 3-1 over the Blue Jackets. Horvat with 2, Dobson with 1. Isles improved to 19, 20, and 7, 9, 11, and 2 at home. Unfortunately, I had Dobson in one of my parlays, but the other stuff didn't hit. But for a point, which it seems like every time we're at Mohegan and do that, because Corey being the Islanders fan that it is, he always is like
hyping him up.
And nobody always comes through, and he did, but unfortunately, the other stuff brought us down there. Hurricanes 4-3 in overtime over the Blackhawks. Blackhawks were in control of this game for a while, but Hurricanes come back here, win it on an Aho game winner, and Mazurek for Chicago, had a great game too. He had 44 saves, but not enough for Chicago. Another upset that I was mentioning, the last 2 were upsets that I had mentioned actually.
Oh, really?
Utah 5-2 at home over the Jets. That was a little surprising there. So
a little bit.
Utah hanging in 2019 and 7. And then the one that we both saw coming here, the Penguins, Tony, 5-1. Had been really struggling. But they take out the Kings. It was only their 3rd regulation home loss of the season. Penguins 20, 21, and 8. And what do you know? A game where Crosby and Malkin both find pay dirt.
Yeah, dude. But definitely a nice, overwhelming Penguins win, I suppose. I mean, one you would see a couple of years ago when they were still being competitive and dominating some regular season standings. But yeah, you gotta like that, I suppose. Anthony Beauvillier with a great game, 6 shots on goal and an assist to show for it as well on the score sheet. Kevin Hayes the goal and assist as well, former Ranger great. So I mean, yeah, it's just one of those games. Just seemed like maybe the Kings, who play a very simplistic style of defense in the ice. I guess maybe the Penguins were a little bit too. What's what I'm looking for? Creative.
Yeah.
On offense?
I think, too, I mean, I don't know how you really, underestimate them, having Crosby. But
yeah, really.
I think, they're probably looking out there playing, we should, this team's old, slow, past their prime. But
yeah, maybe.
Not last night. So that was it for last night. Ernie checking in. Good to hear from you. But we know what we're focused on here. Rangers back in action. Senators tonight at the Garden. I've had a good stretch here, a lot of points. Is it still 3 games back of that wild card spot, or did things change yesterday?
Is it 4 points? I think. Let's see.
3. I thought it was 3 yesterday. It could have stretched to 4 depending on the results.
4 points. The Bruins won yesterday.
Bruins won. Yeah. Okay, so 4 points.
So they actually jumped over the Blue Jackets and took that second wild card spot.
It would be nice to get 2 tonight.
Need it.
What do you think here?
Honestly, dude, like I was talking about yesterday, the Islanders, the old-fashioned Long Island beatdown. I'm thinking the Rangers are going to do a nice old-fashioned Manhattan beatdown.
Let's go
on
bro.
The Senators tonight.
Minus
I'm not going to lie, dude. Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, you take it there. Why not, dude? And
you can take it.
Oh, that I kept due, obviously. But I don't know, man. I mean, look at the Senators team, and obviously I'm not one to count anyone out. But I just think, looking at their lineup, looking at their bottom six specifically, because we know their first line with Kachuk and Batherson and even Josh Norris, they're great. They're naturally, responsible for most of the points and the goal scoring that you'll see from Ottawa. Again, Claude Giroux on the second line with Gaudette and Stutzel. Giroux is the wily vet, the grizzled vet who isn't afraid to back down, can get a gritty goal. Stutzel can score too, but not for nothing. Stutzel sucks at faceoffs. I'm not sure about Josh Norris on faceoffs, but I just think that even the bottom nine, I think should be very manageable. But specifically, our bottom six, the fourth line specifically, if you see Carrick, Edstrom, Rempe on the fourth line, you got Hedel in the third line, with even Kreider, because I know Laviolette's been throwing Cooley up on the second line with Zibanejad, Kreider the third line. I mean, again, our bottom six should be dominating their bottom six when they're matched up against them. And if they throw the Kachuk line out there against our third line, then obviously our first or second line should be scoring. So I just think that we have on paper, pound for pound, just better roster. And that's obviously evident because we just do. And of course, the Rangers don't have necessarily the record this year to say decisively. But I just think right now, the way the Rangers are playing, it's time that they go on that run. Defensively, I think you want to watch out for Shabbat, if that's how you pronounce his name. I kind of forget. He can score from the blue line. I want to say he was a first rounder from Ottawa. I don't know, a few years back. He's a solid defenseman. Again, other than that, give me a break, dude. I think that the Rangers roster should be absolutely dominating this. And again, once our bottom six starts scoring, I think it's just an absolute snowball job here where it just gets uglier and uglier and uglier for the Senators. And I'm looking at a pretty dominant victory here for the Rangers, to be honest, dude. I don't know how you feel, but I'm feeling it.
I'm feeling it too. And I'm also feeling Ernie playing the show on his day off.
Oh, yeah?
Well-deserved day off, by the way.
Nice, dude.
But nothing like the show. I haven't played that in a while.
Yeah, likewise.
Can't wait for the new version coming out this year.
Oh yeah.
Let's go Rangers and let's do a Tuesday Frozen Frenzy.
Let's go, dude. Actually, didn't look at the rest of the slate. I think there's a lot of games today.
There
dude.
is, yeah.
Okay. Maybe 9-10 games here. And we'll start off. Let's go to a rival team here. Another original six here. The Montreal Canadiens at the Bell Center take on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Lightning on the back-to-back here. Should be pretty interesting. Montreal at home is plus 125, Brian. The over-under is 6.5. The Canadiens beat the Lightning 5-2 late December. Since then, have kept it pretty hot. St. Louis doing a great job. They've won 3 of the last 5 games, one of which was an OT winner against the Rangers. Lightning, similar territory, winning 3 of the last 5. I guess actually didn't. ESPN doesn't have last night's game there. They lost to Toronto. We know that. Back-to-back, what do you got?
Back-to-back. You just said it.
Yeah.
I know Johansson started last night for Tampa, so we'll have Vasilevsky back. But we know about Montembeault, Tommy chuckling somewhere. So that's what I think the difference is here. I think a tight game, Tony. I was almost going to do a shutout, but I won't just because of the tired legs back-to-back. But I'm going to say 3-2 Canadiens and the under.
I like the tired legs here in the back-to-back. A lot of old guys on the Tampa Bay team. I would say, though, Vasilevsky's a pretty big, huge saves. Montembeault also some great saves as well. I think a tightly contested 2-1 goal. Give me Lane Hudson. End of the second period from the blue line. A slapper on the power play. Last goal of the game. Canadiens win 2-1. Montreal in the under. Next game, let's go to MSG, sticking on the East Coast of America. This is now, though. Rangers taking on the Senators, hosting a team from up north here. You mentioned the Rangers minus 125. Over-under is 5.5 here. We know the Rangers took care of business way back early November when they were even still struggling. Beat the Senators 2-1. Obviously, Senators have a talent on the team. They've won 4 of the last 5 games right now. A little hot. But what do you say here, dude?
Rangers have been playing well. And like we said, I'm expecting nothing but a vintage performance here. Shesterkin, 33 of 35 in net. Rangers pull it to 4-2. a late Artemi Panarin goal to get him to an even 20 on the season. That also hits the over. Rangers over. Let's play the goal song. Let's go Rangers.
Absolutely love that call. I think Rangers in the over as well. Linus Ullmark, a familiar face for the Rangers. You know exactly what to do against him. Not to mention everything I just said before. Our bottom six should be dominating theirs. Give me the Rangers in somewhat of a landslide here. I say they win 5-1, decisively outplaying the Ottawa Senators. Next game, keep chugging along here, 7 p.m. going to Philadelphia as the Flyers take on the Red Wings. Philadelphia here is minus 145. Plus money for the Red Wings could be maybe something to look at here. Over-under is 5.5. Regular season series is tied here at 1 apiece. Red Wings here, losers of 3 of the last 5. Flyers heating up, won 4 of the last 5, but just beat the Islanders and the Devils back-to-back, outscoring them 8-4 here. What do you say?
Almost reminds me of yesterday with the Penguins. You know, the Red Wings not playing well. You mentioned the Flyers heating up. Torts on fire in that sweater. But I'm gonna go with the Red Wings. I mean, they've been outscored 9-2 their last 2 games. So something's got to give. I think it gives tonight. I think they win a crazy one. 5-4, Larkin game winner, overtime, Red Wings over.
I mean, I like that call there. I was thinking OT winner as well. But give me Lucas Raymond in the OT winner for the Red Wings. He's been pretty hot right now, leading the team 50 points. I know his last 10 games, I think he's had 7 points, something like that. In any case, give me Detroit and the under 3-2 OT. Let's go, dude. Next game, moving along here. We're still hanging around. No, we're not. We're at 8 p.m. now, and we're going to Nashville, baby. The Predators taking on the San Jose Sharks. Boy, is the line pretty crazy here. Nashville, minus 380, Brian. Which is kind of crazy. I don't know why it's so huge.
Back to back, but
I guess over under 6.5 here. Not for nothing, I believe Askarov started for the Sharks yesterday, so you can potentially see Georgiev start here against the Predators, which is probably better for the Sharks, in my opinion. Predators in the 3-game win streak. I mean, is Vegas telling the truth here at minus 380?
No. I know yesterday I was wrong about this. It does seem like the trap. I get it, but give me the Sharks all day on the plus 290 here. The Predators haven't been anything but this season on the ice. 16, 22, and 7. I guess rebounding a little bit, but at the same time, just not a great team. And I know the Sharks aren't either, but I think they can squeak this one out. Maybe a Gorgie turn back the clock performance, dare we say. Sharks, impressive road win here. 3-1, Sharks, and the under.
This is a tough pick, dude. I mean, I guess I'm gonna go with the Predators, though. I guess I'm gonna go chalk. No, you know what? I'm gonna die here with the Sharks. Why not, dude? I'm going Sharks. I know Philip Forsberg has been killing it. He's been really hot right now for the Predators, leading them to victories. But, I mean, I like the Georgiev turn back the clock. Saros has been killing it, honestly, as of recently, too, for the Predators. Going against my gut here. Give me the Sharks. Give me the plus 290. The value, I can't handle it. Celebrating 4-goal game, Brian. 4 goals. Most in his NHL career. I know it hasn't been long. That's right, dude. So Sharks in the over. They win 5-1. Why not, dude? Next game, keep it 10 or 8 p.m. Excuse me. I'm getting riled here. Let's go to Dallas. The Stars taking on the Hurricanes. Dallas here, minus 130. Pretty interesting. Carolina plus money. Could be a good time to take them. Carolina winners of 3 of their last 5. Stars are losers of 3 of their last 5. They just won against the Red Wings, though, 4-1. Canes beat the Stars late November, 6-4. Obviously, offense hasn't been an issue for the Hurricanes or the Stars all season long. Great matchup. Who's budging tonight?
All right, I am going to go with the Stars here. We're talking about tired legs, also mediocre road records. Hurricanes 10-11-2. And then you look at the Stars, 17-6-1 at home. Tony's boy Duchesne. I think this is a close game for the most of the game, but then the Stars, that pull-away goal, maybe an empty netter by Duchesne to give them a 4-2 victory. Stars in the over.
Stars and the over. Boy, this is going to be a pretty good matchup. I do like to call it the Stars. You know, you said it. I mean, the away record for the Hurricanes, I think, says it all. And the Stars, American Airlines Center, we've seen in the postseason, the regular season, that place gets rocking. So give me the Stars. Tight one. 3-2. Is that what you said? 3-2?
Yes.
All right, so same
Oh,
chalk.
no, 4-2.
4-2.
Late goal, empty netter.
Wait, no. All right. Well, I still say Stars win 3-2, though. So Stars in the under. Next game, 9 p.m. We're going to Edmonton. This should be interesting. Washington on the road here is plus 115. They're plus money. Excuse me, they're plus 120 now. Over-under is 5.5. A little bit of crib notes for you. Connor McDavid has been suspended, I believe, for 3 games. For a cross-check to, I forget who, to be honest. It was
somebody with a G, right? Grenand or something like that.
Was it Granlund on the Senators?
Yes.
Regardless, or the Sharks, or it doesn't matter. And I mean, it's going to be obviously pretty tough not having McDavid around.
Canucks.
The Canucks.
Yes.
The Canucks, dude. And so, I mean, Caps coming here, you would think, oh, this could be a Stanley Cup matchup, but wait a minute, no McDavid. I mean, the Capitals at plus 120, how do you not take them here? Logan Thompson, by the way, heating up for the Capitals in between the pipes. What do you say?
Yeah, you know, I mean, this is kind of tough, but I'm going to have to go with the Capitals. Like you said, I just think missing McDavid, you know, Ovechkin, obviously going for the record, riled up. Love the value. I think this is an over game, but give me the Capitals winning 4-3. Capitals in the over.
I mean, honestly, with the plus money here, and dare I say the Capitals are a lock of the night for you betting folks out there. Ernie, Josh B, if Tommy wants to throw a couple shekels. I mean, you want to throw some player props too? I mean, Ovechkin, anytime point, maybe anytime goal. I think it will certainly happen. I know Skinner's been playing really well, and even I have taken the Oilers, but I just think, you know, without McDavid there, I mean, Capitals already tough time to beat. Give me Caps and the under. They win, I'll say 3-1. Why not? 2 games left on the slate for tonight. Speaking of the Canucks, we're going there. 10 p.m. Vancouver, taking on the Buffalo Sabres. Vancouver, also a team that's been struggling. I know Quinn Hughes, 50 points in the season. He's been hot as of recently. But the Sabres here at plus 150 with a struggling Canuck locker room. You never know what's happening here. And they just beat Edmonton in that gritty game, but they're still losers of 3 of their last 5. Buffalo could steal one here. The value bet. Are you taking it, Brian?
I am not going to take it. I'm going to take the Canucks easily, laying the minus 175. I almost might put 3 units on this one later. Sabres suck, back-to-back games. I feel like you've almost gotten a little defensive of them recently. But, yeah, I'm going to go with the Canucks here. I think they blow them out. I'm going to say 5-2. Canucks in the over.
Did Luukkonen start last night for them? I think he did, right? No, it was Levi. It doesn't matter. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen tonight, dude. And this might be a little parlay action. I'm going to take the dogs. I'm taking the tight dog. Buffalo, plus 150 on the upset. I don't care about the back-to-back. Sabres are hungry. What do they say? Underdogs are hungry or something like that. Hungry dogs run faster, Brian.
There you go.
Okay, dude? Give me the Sabres. Luukkonen, 3rd shutout of the season against the Canucks. Maybe Quinn Hughes goes a little bit of cold streak here. Sabres win 2-0. Sabres in the under. Value bet there. Let's see if Brian takes the next value bet. We're going to go to Anaheim as the Ducks take on the Florida Panthers. Anaheim here, plus 215 on the money line. Over-under is 5.5. The Panthers, we've mentioned, struggling this month, it seems. I know they're still 27-17-3, still a competitive team. Did beat the Ducks earlier this month, actually shut them out. That was their last game out, their last win. They're still losers of 3 of the last 5. We've seen the Ducks struggle since their hot streak, though. I don't know. Do you think the Ducks can recapture the lightning in the bottle they once had?
Yeah, you know, if they were playing a different team, maybe, but Florida do. I think they impose their will. Reinhart, 27 goals this year. I think he scores 2 at the Honda Center, and the Panthers win by 2. I'm going to say 4-2 Panthers in the over.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you there. I think the Panthers are due, even though we've been taking the teams against them and winning, because we know they've been on the cold streak. But I say Panthers win this one 5-1, like you said, imposing their will in Anaheim. Jacob Trouba on the ice for all goals against.
And just like that is your Tuesday Frozen Frenzy.
2 for Tuesday.
I guess you could say a Knowlton Frozen Frenzy.
That is correct. You could say that, dude. Great job on the read, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I'm sure Sharon cheesing somewhere. You think he's a hockey guy or no way?
Do I think he's on right now?
No, a hockey guy.
Oh, a hockey guy? No, I don't think he's a sports guy at all.
You don't think he's been to any
Rangers?
Bridgeport Islander games?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Maybe
even if it was like an outing, a box.
Nah, I don't think so.
It's funny. I'm not. I feel like Tommy is. I think he said too, if Hartford wasn't so shitty, he would go to like the Wolfpack games. I'm like, I don't know. Just it's tough for me, especially just because like I haven't got to go to enough NHL games, so it's tough for me to go AHL. But if there was some opportunity with a box at a game, it would be pretty sick, right? Or no?
No, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I would. You know me. I would go to a minor league hockey game.
You know, and I would go. I guess it's
yeah,
just like
yeah,
you know what
yeah.
I mean. Like the Rangers, if like there was time and money was no object, I would go to like a couple games a week. Like you know what I mean. With that, it's like okay, like every once in a while, like it would be okay.
Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, again, you know me. I mean, I have a great time going to Sacred Heart hockey games.
Oh
you know?
yeah.
So he's
How's
there
the
on the
team
glass, dude. Team's doing very well. They beat AIC when I went this weekend, which was great. They beat Cornell, actually, and Cornell's ranked.
Wow.
So that was a big deal for
Red?
them. Big Red. And they have this upcoming weekend is the CT Ice Tournament. They're hosting Quinnipiac, Yale, and Yukon, dude.
You there?
I was offered tickets to go Friday night, but we have Down the Rabbit Hole and Binge Buddies. I think potential to go on Saturday as a patron. So that'll be fun, dude.
Riley chugging in the crowd? Or?
Riley's probably working the tournament, dude, you know, which is probably tight that he's not chugging in the crowd. But I will say, though, with the student ID, $5 beers.
Pretty good.
Pretty good, dude.
Before we get to our last subject matter here, a couple comments. Ernie talking about his lineup. Looks pretty good there, huh?
Yes, he says current lineup: Soto, Judge, Harper, Sosa, Griffey, Witt Jr., Chipper Jones, Soriano, Posada, all 99 pitchers are Lee, Burnett, Wheeler, Scherzer, and Thor, dude. Tommy here, hyped for the frenzy, he says. Then Carlton Best says, let's go shoe hockey, no ice, dude.
What's the deal with that?
So no, we went to Carlton, myself, Thorne.
Thorne?
Yeah, Thorne. And actually, I forgot that you know PJ. PJ was at PJ.
Oh my god!
We went to the inaugural CT Ice tournament at MFA. I was still a J at the time. It was the first year of the tournament. And it was, dude, it was we were at like the alumni suite pregame, and it was open bar. Okay, and so so you can go up to the bar, and you know, obviously, Sacred Heart University, they monitor. They only give you 2 beers at a time, but Thorne and Carlton they don't drink. So they would go up and get 2 beers each and give it to PJ and I. And needless to say, dude, we were pretty hammered, dude. And like, dude, there was a point where they called an icing call on Sacred Heart, and PJ is just like there, and all of a sudden he's just no ice, just like that, dude. And it was just like out of context. It was freaking hilarious, dude.
That is funny.
Night to remember, no doubt, dude. But it was, dude, they do it really well when you do the on-the-night functions. There's open bar, free food for an hour before the game. It's like, how do you not enjoy your time there?
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff. And speaking of good stuff, starting tomorrow, and we mentioned this yesterday, kind of a weird start time, Tony, from La Jolla, California. Here, the Farmers Insurance Open. This tournament started as the San Diego Open, 1952.
Wow,
has been played at Torrey Pines since 1968, utilizing both the South and the North course. Before switching over to the South for the weekend. South, the harder course, and always hosts the major championships on that. And you look at the yardage here, the South measuring 7,765. That is dope. The North, a little shorter here, 7,258.
Wow!
So it's always like first day, you look at the leaderboard, whoever is like tearing it up on the South and they're like high up there, it's like, wow, this guy, has a chance because he's going to play the North tomorrow, that type of thing. But you look at the scores here, kind of, I feel like to start the season, we've had a lot of venues where, okay, you're figuring around 20 under or greater. This is more of a mid-teens type of scoring. Last year, Pavone, who will try to defend his title here.
Oh, yeah.
13 under. Homa was 13 under the year before. Luke List, 15 under in 22. Patrick Reed, 14 under in 21. Mark Leishman, 15 under in 2020. And Justin Rose, 21 under 2019. That was kind of an albatross. And then Jason Day, his second championship in 2018 was 10 under par. And he also won in 2015. Both were playoff wins. And the purse here is a tournament, all-time high, $9.3 million. The winner getting $1.674 million. And this always starts the CBS golf season, Tony. So it would be good to hear Jimmy and crew on the call for this one, I would imagine. I was just thinking because of the NFL. But being that it's earlier in the week, maybe he will be on. Actually, that's something good that I should check out. Regardless of that, you look at this field here. Morikawa was a WD. I think a couple other guys WD.
Oh, why is that?
I thought they said something. Could you actually just Google search Farmers Insurance Open withdrawals? Because I sometimes you see like these like Facebook stories, but they're not really true. Yeah. But it was something about like insurance, like house insurance for renting.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What do we got here?
The news comes the day before to reveal that world number 2 Xander Schauffele would also not be competing in his hometown event. Schauffele cited a medical issue for his absence. Morikawa is also one of the 24 TGL players. Interesting. Although his club is not in action this week. Interesting. Seems like they don't know. Morikawa has played each of the last 2 editions of the Farmers Insurance Open. He finished 3rd. Yada yada. Despite the disappointment, Morikawa had an excellent year. This year he picked up. He had left off with runner-up at the Century earlier this month. I guess they don't know. As for Schauffele, he says his withdrawal comes also after he also pulled out of the American Express. No reason was offered for the withdrawal at the time. I guess for him.
Okay, so maybe they were just kind of suggesting something, but it's not. I thought it was something about like the rental homes. I don't know that they weren't being insured, or I don't know, something just with because of the fires or something.
I know that was like a huge thing, obviously for anyone involved. But let's see if I can maybe check ESPN. One of 3 golfers. Morikawa joined Holgaard of Denmark. McCumber bowing out. Famed Torrey Pines Field to replace. There's no official reasons declared, I guess.
Okay. Interesting.
They just say Schauffele, the medical issue, but no one else had something specific, I guess. So maybe it could be, but I guess maybe they just haven't declared it. This was as of 2 days ago. So
okay. Interesting stuff. So who will be there? A couple guys that we're familiar with and already a winner on tour this season at the Century. You have Hideki Matsuyama, Ludwig Aubert, a Tony favorite, Northeast's finest in Keegan Bradley, the maple syrup and all, Tony. Sahith Theegala, Sanjay M, Aaron Rai, Tony Finau, Shane Lowry, Maverick McNeely, Jason Day looking to make it 3 championships at Torrey Pines. Max Greiserman, the defending champ, Matthew Pavone, Austin Eckroat, Steven Yeager, Taylor Pendrith, Max Homa, and Thurston Lawrence from South Africa.
I beg your pardon? Thurston.
So I know Thurston. Is it? I think it is Thurston, but whatever.
Okay.
I just figured to be wrong with the name. That was all the guys in the top 50. So I kind of an in-between field. You would kind of expect there to be more, but you think about those WDs we just mentioned, plus Scheffler still nursing the hand injury.
Which is also wild.
So I think that's kind of the reasons that we see that. Nevertheless, talent in the field, tough course, so you kind of think about these well-rounded golfers kind of having the best chance to weather the conditions. But that being said, who do you got as a winner and a sleeper?
Sleeper is tough, dude. But in terms of a winner, I'm going to go with somewhat of a favorite around here, Ludwig Aubert. I just think that at this point, I mean, yes, with the withdrawals, he's definitely a top golfer in the field, no doubt. Ranked 6th in the world golf rankings here. Also finished, I think, tied for 5th last weekend, which is, I think, pretty impressive to start off his year. And not for nothing, I think a better. I know last year I was saying, oh, this could be his year to start off hot. He did not. So I'm gonna kind of double down a little bit and say this year could be his year. Maybe he steals a major. Who knows, dude? But I think he certainly can win this course. I know you mentioned someone with an all-around golf game will need to win this one. He's struggled sometimes with some easy putts. But nonetheless, I still think he'll win this one. I think it's probably going to be on par. Thank you. And I say he wins, I'll say 11 under par.
Okay.
He'll win. In terms of a sleeper now, I don't know. Adam Svensson, maybe?
Adam Svensson, okay.
Give me Adam Svensson. Probably going to be a shot in the dark. One half of the Svensson brothers here from Canada. I guess I've seen a little bit of him just golfing, last year, doing a lot of the ESPN, the specific groups. He's been in a lot of them, I suppose. A lot of them he sucks, to be honest. I can't tell you. I think there's at least 6 times I've seen him just shank one off the fairway. But I just think he gets lucky. It strikes gold here, plus 17,000 odds. And I say he would need to win with a 14 under. Why not? Dude?
There we go. All right, I got a couple, picks here. I think you're gonna get a kick out of.
Oh yeah.
One guy who has actually won this tournament, back in 2019, also had a top 5 finish in 2017, a tied for 4th, and then a tied for 8th in 2018. And last year, Tony had 2 top 10 finishes in majors, including a runner-up at the Open Championship. Do you know who he is? Grizzled vet from across the pond.
Aaron Rye.
No.
Damn it.
When I say it, you're going to be.
Who is it?
Justin Rose.
Oh.
I don't know if you remember, too, him walking off the course last year, because, it's the championship was in England. I forgot what course it was, but, the full bow, cap off, everyone was going nuts.
That's
that he
hilarious.
Almost won. He's 44 years old, turning pro back in 96, and he's actually from South Africa. I always get that confused. Wait, but he was born in South Africa.
Justin
but
Rose,
then, okay, but he's in English. I gotcha. Okay, but yeah, fan favorite. And yeah, I thought he had a pretty good year last year. Obviously, it was up and down, but when it mattered most, 2 majors, the PGA and the Open, I'd have that type of performance. This is also his PGA Tour 2025 debut. I don't know if he did any events. I feel like he did for the DP World Tour. But that being said, I think he starts out with a bang. And I just think the fact that, he's got that good all-around game. I like him here. I like him to win. I'm going to say close to what you were thinking. I'm going to go one less, though, at 10 under par. Winning in a playoff, Tony.
Wow.
Over Shane Lowry. So the Englishman versus the Irishman in a playoff. And then
just old times.
To get a little crazy, and if you could look up his odds here, another guy that I think you're going to get riled for. More of a pronunciation thing, but I don't know if you remember this. We were watching the Tahoe Championship when Nick Dunlap ended up winning. Mm-hmm. He was in the hunt, a Mac Meisner. I think I was saying Meisner, or, of course, pronouncing it wrong. But what do we got for odds here? By the way, I'm going to say he goes 12 under. Wins.
He's at plus 9,000, dude.
So not too shabby.
Not
Mr.
too shabby at all, dude.
Meisner,
dude.
Out
of the Southern Methodist University.
And I'm actually kind of curious too. I haven't looked up. He's fairly new, I believe. He's 25 years old.
25 years old, turned pro in 21. Placed tied 68th at the Amex, tied 21st Sony Open. He has one top 25 finish, I guess. Is that just for this year? Oh, yeah, this is just for this year.
And if you look back to his PGA Tour season last year, 25 events played, missed the cut at the Farmers, but did have the 4th place finish that I mentioned at the Barracuda, a tied for 12th at the Wyndham, as he looks to, accelerate his golf career. Also a 5th, tied for 5th at the Charles Schwab in May.
He was cut from Farmers last year.
Yeah, so he's going to have a better performance this year.
For sure.
Potentially hoisting the cup. And kind of interesting with the Wednesday to Saturday. But I think, it makes sense, Tony, because this would just get absolutely buried on Championship Sunday.
Oh yeah, forget about it, dude.
And I just wanted to see the coverage. Obviously, we know CBS will have it. And let's just see what we have for the exact schedule. I don't know if it's going to be a golf. Let's see. Looks like Golf Channel will get us started tomorrow, 3 to 7, as well as Thursday, 3 to 5 on golf on Friday, 5 to 8 on CBS, Saturday, 2 to 4 on golf, 4 to 8 on CBS, and then Wednesday, Thursday, you're starting with the main feed of the PGA Tour Live 11:45. Friday, Saturday, starting at noon, Friday till 3, and then noon till 2 on Saturday, and then you also have featured groups till 8, obviously coinciding with the main coverage. So definitely ample opportunity here to watch some golf. And Torrey Pines, always one of my favorite courses to watch, and I would love to play there. Pooch has played there. Jordan, because he lives in California, I guess can play for like, I want to say like under $100.
Are you kidding me?
Crazy, yeah. I want to say it's like $60 or something, like insane.
That's ridiculous.
But yeah, I always just think it's cool if you have an opportunity to play ball. Course. You do. It might not be pretty, but you do it.
Oh yeah, dude.
So yeah, that's really where we're at, Tony. But I feel like we did cover a lot today. Will you be covering a lot later?
Yeah, I guess there's some good news out there, dude. I'm reviewing a movie tonight on Binge Buddy. It's called A Different Man. You would have probably found this movie quite disturbing, to be honest.
I feel like you always say stuff like this.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if there's a movie I see that I'll throw it your way for sure, but I don't think you'd really be liking this one. Definitely slow, methodical. It's about a man with a facial disfigurement. Pretty tough. It's a fire, dude. No, yeah, pretty tough movie to get through for sure. But nonetheless, dude.
Michael liked it? Or?
Michael didn't watch it. No, I watched it on Hulu last night.
Would he like it?
No, he definitely would not have liked it, dude. He would have fallen asleep, walked out potentially, even if it was in theaters. But I'm reviewing that, tonight. It's gonna be a good review. It's gonna be interesting. I feel like it's been highly touted. Like there's been raving reviews. So it should be interesting to see, what everyone else thinks about it. And if you have seen it, definitely tune in tonight. We'll have rapid fire news, obviously, a lot of hot button news across, I guess, multiple streaming platforms we're covering tonight. So it should be a good episode, dude. Nice little Tuesday action.
8 sharp.
8 p.m. sharp, dude.
Also, I just saw this on the news feed here. Hall of Fame, I guess later today they're going to announce for baseball. So
no way, dude.
Sabathia, an opportunity to get in. Is he a Hall of Famer?
Who else is on the ballot?
Tony, you had to put me on the spot there. I just saw.
I mean, I would say yeah, but I don't know
because I know like the whole thing was like 300 wins, but then I think he pitched towards the end of the era where wins didn't matter, and he still had, I want to say, was it 251, which is actually a lot of wins. Let's see, Hall of Fame 2025.
Billy Wagner,
who's already been on the ballot, right?
Yes, he is in his final year, dude. Oh, it's tough.
He probably won't get it.
He would become only the 8th person.
Ichiro,
Carlos Beltran looks like.
That's
wild. Andrew Jones.
I still can't believe
Chase Utley.
Scott Rowland was elected as a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, that is pretty wild. Am I crazy or there's CC Sabathia.
Wow, polling at 93.3%.
Looks like, oh my God, wait, is this the whole ballot right here? Voting ballot. Bobby Abreu, Beltran, Carlos Gonzalez, Curtis Granderson, Felix Hernandez, Torrey Hunter, Adam Jones, Ian Kinsler, Russell Martin, Brian McCann, Andy Pettit, Manny Ramirez, Hanley Ramirez, Fernando Rodney, A-Rod, Francisco Rodriguez. Oh, nice, dude. Jimmy Rollins, Sabathia.
Jimmy Rollins. Andy Pettit?
Andy Pettit, dude.
Burley. Pettit would have got it if it wasn't for the PEDs.
David Wright. Chase Utley shouldn't be on. Get the fuck out of here, Chase Utley.
A-Rod. Clemens, Bonds. No, they're off the ballot. But A-Rod and Manny are on the ballot, but polling, they sit around 40 to 36%. I don't know what the perfect solution is, but I just feel like something should be done to kind of just make this process better. I feel like it's always controversial.
It always is.
And like I said, I don't. Scott Rowland, like, right? I don't.
Yeah.
Like, I think he was good, but what is it? Does it not feel like he was like just like below what you would say a Hall of Famer would be?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what constitutes them being on the ballot. I don't even know, like.
No, I think everybody's eligible, but then if you don't get a certain percentage, you're off.
Yeah. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. It seems like, I mean, there's a fuck ton of names here, dude.
Yeah, and I think I have higher standards. Like, it's like going against a guy that, actually pitched for the Yankees. And not to say he wasn't, like, a really good pitcher, but I was very surprised. I think he might even have been first ballot. And I know we've mentioned this before, but that Messina. Like, just watching him, I don't know. Like again, like he feels like he was in the Roland category.
Right.
But I don't know. The standards are different, especially with the PED situation. That's changed things. I think that's big.
Yeah, that's huge, dude.
So yeah, we'll mention that tomorrow. But definitely a great show today.
Oh yeah, dog.
Really appreciate all the interaction. And just a lot of depth today. Covered a lot of different topics. By the way, Ben Johnson. Looks like he's going to be the Bears coach.
No way.
Yeah, they talked about that yesterday. It's not official yet, but looks like that's imminent. Get a chance to work with Caleb Williams. Mentioned Aaron Glenn, looking like he's going to be the Jets coach.
What do you think about Detroit kind of losing their coordinators here?
It definitely hurts, but I think when you have a guy like Dan Campbell, he'll be able to put the right guys. Being he's a football guy, former player. He's going to put the right guys in those positions. So, sure, maybe first year it's not seamless, but he'll find a way to get the right guys in there. That's for sure. And, I think it's a good job by the teams hiring those guys. Those are two guys that I think will be very good head coaches. Johnson, especially with his just play design, in the innovativeness on offense. And Aaron Glenn, I mean, the same thing on defense, but also there's a lot of talk about his just demeanor, what he expects. And it's like, the Jets, I mean, let's face it, they need it more than any team in the National Football League. So we'll keep an eye out on the hiring cycle, Tony.
Good call.
But like I said, great show. Appreciate everybody tuning in, and we encourage everybody to continue to comment, like, and subscribe. All of the archives on the YouTube page, Tony, Michael, Renee, and Jay, and costume the merch at downtime.com. Want everybody to enjoy the day, enjoy the games, enjoy Binge Buddies. Let's go Rangers, and we will see you mañana.
Hey guys, Tony here from Downtime TV checking in. I want to thank all our fans out there who's been liking, subscribing, sharing our content. You guys are the best. You guys are our bloodline. You make us love what we do. Thanks again.